Welcome to the Sleepy Scholar. Tonight, we put aside the chaos of human history and turn our attention to the silent, steady history of the ground beneath our feet. There is no test to study for. There are no notes to take. There is only the earth and the physics that hold you safely in your bed. Let us begin with the concept of stillness. You may feel stationary right now, heavy against your mattress. But this is an illusion of the most comforting kind. In reality, you are currently traveling through the galaxy at a speed of 1.3 million miles per hour. The Earth is a vessel, shielding you from the cosmic wind, moving so perfectly through the void that you can balance a glass of water on your nightstand without a single ripple. You are being transported across the universe, and you don't have to lift a finger. Consider the age of the water in your glass, or the moisture in the air you are breathing. The water on our planet is alien. It did not start here. Billions of years ago, before the continents formed, ice-filled comets rained down from the outer edges of the solar system, bringing with them the very molecules that now make up the oceans, the clouds, and 60% of your own body. The water you drink is older than the sun. It has traveled billions of miles to be here, to hydrate you, to settle the dust, and to create the gentle sound of rain that lulls you to sleep. Think of the oceans that hold this ancient water, specifically the Pacific. It is so vast that there are points where, if you were floating on its surface, the nearest human beings to you would not be on an island or a passing ship. They would be the astronauts orbiting above you in the International Space Station. This place is called Point Nemo, the pole of inaccessibility. It is the quietest place on the surface of our world. Down below, in the deepest trenches, the water pressure is immense. But this pressure is not crushing, it is stabilizing. It holds the ocean floor together in absolute, pitch-black silence. A silence that has remained unbroken for millions of years. While the oceans are deep, the ground itself is practicing a form of patience that we can barely comprehend. We tend to think of mountains as solid, immovable statues. But to the sleepy scholar, they are fluid. They are moving. Right now, the Himalayan mountain range is growing. The tectonic plates beneath India are sliding slowly, ever so slowly, under the rest of Asia. But they move at the speed that your fingernails grow, an inch or so a year. This is the pace of the planet. It is not in a rush. It builds its masterpieces, Mount Everest, the Alps, the Andes, grain by grain, moment by moment. It reminds us that nothing needs to happen quickly to be significant. You do not need to rush to sleep. The mountains are rising in the dark, taking their time, and you are allowed to take yours as well. Deep beneath this shifting crust lies the Earth's engine, a core of solid iron and nickel, as hot as the surface of the sun, spinning silently in the center of the world. You cannot see it. You cannot feel the heat, but you are protected by it every single second. As this core spins, it generates a magnetic field, an invisible shield that arches out into space, thousands of miles above your roof. This invisible shield is currently deflecting solar winds and cosmic radiation, pushing them harmlessly away from the atmosphere. It creates the northern lights, the aurora borealis, a silent light show that dances even when no one is watching. Think of this magnetic field as a roof that never leaks, a wall that never cracks. It has been active for over 3 billion years, ensuring that the atmosphere stays clinging to our planet, ensuring that you can breathe easily tonight. And consider the trees. While you rest, the earth is breathing. The great boreal forests of the north and the rainforests of the equator are engaged in a silent exchange. They are inhaling what we exhale. It is a slow, chemical rhythm. The carbon is absorbed, locked away into the wood of the trunks, and fresh oxygen is released. This happens without sound, without machinery, and without effort. The tree outside your window is standing guard, processing the air, acting as a lung for the world. Even in the dead of winter, when the leaves are gone, the roots are still there, alive, waiting, holding the soil in place so that the ground does not wash away. The system works perfectly. It requires no input from you. You are free to let go. Now, let your mind drift upwards, away from the forests and the mountains, to our closest companion in the void, the moon. It hangs there in the sky, a silent sentinel that has watched over the sleep of every living creature that has ever existed on Earth. But it is doing more than just watching. It is holding us steady. Without the moon, the Earth would wobble on its axis like a dying top. Our climate would be chaotic, our seasons unpredictable. But the moon acts as a gravitational anchor. It holds the Earth at a steady 23.5-degree tilt. This tilt is what gives us the reliable rhythm of the seasons. Winter turns to spring, spring to summer, summer to autumn, and back to winter. This cycle has repeated for billions of years, and it will repeat for billions more. There is nothing you need to do to ensure the sun comes back. The mechanics of the solar system have guaranteed it. You can trust in tomorrow. This gravitational relationship also creates the tides. Even now, as you lie still, the water in the oceans is rising and falling in a slow, heavy breath. The moon pulls the water towards it, creating a bulge, a high tide, and then releases it. This happens twice a day, every day, without fail. It is the heartbeat of the planet. Up and down, in and out. A rhythm so slow that we barely notice it, yet it is powerful enough to move oceans. Allow your own breathing to match this pace. Slow, rhythmic, inevitable. Consider the speed of the sunset. We often think of the sun going down, but as a scholar, we know the truth. The sun stays put. It is the earth that is turning you away from the light. This line between day and night is called the terminator. It is a soft, gray shadow that sweeps across the surface of the planet at 1,000 miles per hour. Right now, that shadow has swept over your location, wrapping you in the dark. But you are not alone in this. You are joining billions of other living things, humans, animals, plants, who are currently on the dark side of the world. Half the planet is always sleeping. You are simply taking your turn in the great rotation. And think about the twilight. On planets without an atmosphere, like Mercury, the transition from day to night is instant. One moment it is blindingly bright, the next it is pitch black. But Earth is gentle. Our thick atmosphere scatters the light, creating twilight. It gives us a warning. It allows the day to fade slowly into the night, giving our minds time to adjust, time to slow down. The planet does not shock us with darkness. It tucks us in slowly. Even the dust plays a role. The upper atmosphere is filled with microscopic particles of dust, some from the deserts of Africa, some from the debris of comets. When the sun hits these particles, it creates the oranges and purples of the sunset. The beauty of the evening sky is created by the dust of the universe. Everything has a place. Everything has a purpose. Even the smallest speck of dust contributes to the calm of the evening. Let us travel now to the coldest parts of the world to understand the physics of silence. Have you ever noticed how quiet the world becomes after a heavy snowfall? This is not just poetic, it is acoustic science. Freshly fallen snow is porous. It is composed of ice crystals with open spaces between them. When sound waves hit the snow, they do not bounce back as echoes. They enter these tiny spaces and are trapped. The snow absorbs the noise of the city, the cars, and the wind. It dampens the vibrations of the world. A landscape covered in snow is nature's soundproofing studio. It creates a hush that is physically impossible to achieve on a summer day. Imagine this white blanket covering your thoughts, absorbing the noise of your worries, leaving only a soft, muffled stillness. In these cold regions, we find the glaciers. These are great rivers of ice, massive and heavy, yet they are moving. But they move with a slowness that defies human perception. A glacier might move only a few feet in an entire year. It creates a friction so immense that it grinds the rock beneath it into fine flour. Yet to the naked eye, it is perfectly still. Deep inside the ice of Antarctica, there are bubbles of air trapped from 10,000, 20,000, even 100,000 years ago. The atmosphere of the past is suspended there, frozen in time. Nothing changes in the deep ice. It is a place of perfect preservation. The earth holds on to its memories, locking them away in the cold, keeping them safe so they are never lost. You do not need to hold on to your memories right now. You can let them freeze, let them sit, let them be preserved for another time. Consider the temperature deep underground. If you were to descend into a cave deep below the surface, you would leave the weather behind. It does not matter if there is a storm raging above, or a heat wave, or a blizzard. A few hundred feet down, the earth maintains a constant temperature. In many caves, it is a permanent, unchanging 54 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a realm of eternal equilibrium. The cave does not know day from night. It does not know summer from winter. It exists in a perpetual state of calm stability. This stability is the true nature of the planet. The storms on the surface are just temporary tantrums. Beneath it all, the rock is cool, dark, and indifferent to the chaos. And think about the rotation of the earth regarding weight. Because the earth spins, it creates a centrifugal force that pushes outwards at the equator. This means that gravity is slightly weaker there. If you were standing on the equator, you would weigh slightly less than you do at the poles. The planet itself is trying to lift you up, trying to make you lighter. Even the air pressure changes as you sleep. At night, as the air cools, it becomes denser and settles closer to the ground. The atmosphere literally settles down to rest with you. The winds often die down as the sun's heat fades, leading to the evening calm. The energy of the atmosphere dissipates, the turbulence smooths out into a laminar flow. The fluid dynamics of the sky are shifting into a lower gear, preparing the entire hemisphere for a state of rest. Now, let us transport our minds to the driest places on Earth, the great deserts. While the forest breathes and the ocean moves, the desert waits. In the heart of the Sahara or the Atacama, the silence is almost absolute. Without vegetation to rustle in the wind, and without water to flow, the soundscape is stripped to its barest minimum. It is a silence so profound that you can hear the blood rushing in your own ears, a reminder of your own life in the midst of the vast stillness. Consider the sand itself. Each grain is a tiny monument to history. These particles were once mighty mountains, towering peaks that stood for millions of years. Time, wind, and rain gently wore them down, polishing them into tiny, smooth jewels of quartz and silica. When you look at a dune, you are looking at the ruins of ancient geography, ground down into soft, shifting waves. The earth recycles everything. Nothing is lost, only changed. The mountains became sand, and one day, that sand will be compressed back into stone. It is a cycle so slow that it makes our daily worries seem incredibly fast and fleeting. And when the sun sets over these deserts, the ground loses its heat rapidly, surrendering it back to space. The air becomes crisp and clear. Without humidity to blur the view, the window to the universe opens wide. The light of the stars that reaches the desert floor has traveled for years, centuries, even millenniums to get here. When you look up, you are not seeing the present. You are looking into the past. The light from Sirius left its surface over 8 years ago. The light from the Andromeda galaxy left 2.5 million years ago, long before humans walked the Earth. We are surrounded by ghosts of light. The night sky is a time machine, and you are simply a traveler, lying still, observing the history of the universe unfolding above you. Let us sink deeper from the stars back into the oceans, but this time, to the movement of the water itself. There is a current known as the global conveyor belt. It is a massive, slow-moving loop of water that travels around the entire planet. Warm water flows north, cools down, becomes heavy with salt, and sinks to the bottom of the Atlantic. It then travels along the ocean floor, creeping slowly towards Antarctica and the Pacific. This journey is incredibly lethargic. A single drop of water can take 1,000 years to complete the circuit. Think about that. 1,000 years to finish a single lap. The water moving deep beneath the waves right now started its journey when medieval kings ruled Europe. It moves with a patience that ignores the frantic pace of the surface world. It is the Earth's deep, slow breath, regulating the climate, unnoticed and unhurried. Even the continents themselves have a memory. We know about isostasy. This is the principle of balance in the Earth's crust. During the last ice age, massive glaciers weighed down the land in North America and Scandinavia, pushing the crust down into the mantle. The ice melted 10,000 years ago, but the land is still rebounding. It is still slowly rising back up, like a slow-motion mattress regaining its shape after you stand up. The Earth remembers the weight of the ice, and it is still recovering millimeter by millimeter. It is in no rush to forget the past. Finally, think about the rotation of the galaxy. We worry about being late, about hours and minutes. But our solar system, the sun, the earth, the moon, and you, is orbiting the center of the Milky Way galaxy. We are moving at 500,000 miles per hour, yet the galaxy is so vast that it takes 230 million years to complete one orbit. This is called a galactic year. The last time Earth was in this position in the galaxy, dinosaurs were just beginning to appear. The next time we are here, who knows what the world will look like? We are on a long, grand voyage. The clock we are really running on is not the one on your wall. It is the galactic clock, and on that scale, your entire life is just a single, peaceful blink. You have plenty of time. There is no need to rush. Let us descend once again into the quiet dark, to the cave of the crystals in Mexico. Buried 1,000 feet underground, there are crystals of selenite that are larger than telephone poles. They are some of the largest natural crystals ever found. But what is most comforting about them is not their size, but the time they took to grow. These crystals formed underwater, in a cave filled with hot, mineral-rich fluid. For 500,000 years, the temperature in that cave remained perfectly stable. It did not fluctuate by even a single degree. Because of this absolute stability, the crystals were able to grow slowly, molecule by molecule, for 500,000 years uninterrupted. They are a physical testament to the power of consistency. They remind us that if you just stay still, if you just remain calm, you can build something magnificent. There is also a sound to the earth that you cannot hear, but your body may recognize. It is called the Schumann resonance. Between the surface of the ground and the edge of the ionosphere miles above, lightning strikes are constantly flashing around the globe. These strikes make the atmosphere ring like a bell. This creates a constant, low-frequency hum that vibrates around the entire planet. The primary frequency of this hum is 7.83 Hz. This is known as the heartbeat of the Earth. Interestingly, this frequency, 7.83 Hz, is the exact same frequency as human brainwaves when they are in a state of deep relaxation, right on the edge of sleep. The planet is broadcasting a lullaby on a frequency that your brain is designed to understand. You are literally tuned in to the frequency of your home. Think about the concept of deep time found in the rock cycle. We see a stone and think it is dead matter. But to a geologist, a stone is just a moment in a process. Consider a piece of petrified wood. Once, it was a tree, living and growing. Then it fell and was buried in mud. Over millions of years, water-rich and minerals seeped into the wood. Atom by atom, the organic material of the wood was replaced by silica, by stone. The structure of the tree remained. You can still see the rings, the bark, but the substance has changed. It became immortalized in rock. This process happens on a scale so small it is invisible. It is the ultimate slow-motion transformation. It teaches us that change does not have to be painful or sudden. It can be a gentle replacement, one atom at a time, until you are something stronger than you were before. Now, drift your mind to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. We have spoken of the pressure there, but consider the sediment. The floor of the deep ocean is covered in a layer of soft, fine ooze. This is not just mud. It is biogenic ooze, composed of the microscopic shells of plankton that lived near the surface millions of years ago. When these tiny creatures finish their lives, they slowly sink. This is called marine snow. It takes weeks for a single flake of this snow to fall from the surface to the bottom. It falls through the darkness, mile after mile, until it settles gently on the bottom. This layer of sediment builds up at a rate of 1 centimeter every 1,000 years. A single centimeter. The floor of the ocean is a library of the Earth's history, built by the slowest snowfall imaginable. And deep within the Earth's crust, miles below the soil, there is life that operates on a completely different clock. Scientists have found microbes living deep inside the rock, cut off from the sun and the surface. In our world, bacteria divide and multiply every 20 minutes. But down there, resources are scarce. These deep earth microbes live in slow motion. They might divide only once every 100 years. Some might divide once every 1,000 years. They are barely living, suspended in a state of near stasis. They are not rushing to grow. They are simply persisting. They have slowed their metabolism down to match the geology around them. They are proof that life does not need to be fast. It just needs to be present. Consider the stillness of the stratosphere. If you were to rise above the clouds, above the storms, above the rain, you would reach the stratosphere. Here, the air is thin and dry. The weather happens below you. Down on the surface, it might be raining, wind might be howling. But up there, it is always clear. It is always calm. The turbulence of the lower atmosphere cannot reach you. This layer of calm exists permanently above your head. No matter how stormy your day was, the sky above the storm remained perfectly still. The blue was always there, just waiting for the clouds to pass. Let us turn our thoughts to the concept of unity. We look at the map of the world and see continents separated by vast oceans. We see distance, but the Earth sees a cycle. 250 million years ago, all the land masses were joined together in one supercontinent called Pangaea. You could have walked from South America to Africa without getting your feet wet. Over eons, they drifted apart, creating the world we know today. But the drifting has not stopped. Geologists project that in another 250 million years, the continents will meet again. They will slowly crash back into each other to form a new supercontinent, often called Pangaea Ultima. The Earth likes to bring things back together. Separation is just a temporary phase. The land is on a long, slow journey home to unity. Consider the golden quiet of amber. Millions of years ago, in a prehistoric forest, a pine tree released a drop of sticky resin. This resin fell, perhaps trapping a leaf or a bubble of air. Over time, the tree fell, the forest was buried, and the resin hardened. It fossilized into amber. When you hold a piece of amber, you are holding a frozen moment of sunlight from 40 million years ago. Inside that golden stone, time has stopped completely. The air bubble trapped inside is the air of the Eocene epoch. It is a perfect, suspended pause. It reminds us that moments do not disappear. They are just kept safe in different forms. Think about the physics of the night itself. We often fear the dark, but physically, night is just a shadow. It is the Earth casting a shadow into space. When the sun sets, you are simply moving into the shade of your own planet. This shadow is shaped like a long, tapering cone, stretching out into the solar system away from the sun. This is called the umbra. When you sleep, you are resting safely inside this cone of protection. It is a break from the relentless energy of the sun. It allows the planet to cool down, to repair itself. The darkness is not an absence of things. It is a presence of rest. It is a shield that the earth holds up for you, 12 hours a day. Deep in the limestone caves, there is a clock that ticks once every few minutes. It is the water dripping from the ceiling, drop by drop. As each drop falls, it leaves behind a microscopic ring of the mineral calcite. Over decades, these rings stack up to form stalactites. This is the architecture of water. A stalactite might grow only 1 inch every 100 years. Think of that patience. While empires rise and fall, while cities are built and destroyed on the surface, the cave is adding just 1 inch of stone to its masterpiece. It works in total darkness, without applause, without an audience. It builds simply because that is what it does. It teaches us the value of slow, incremental progress. You do not need to finish everything today. Adding a single drop is enough. Let us consider the clouds. Not the storm clouds, but the high, wispy clouds known as cirrus. They float at 20,000 feet, composed entirely of ice crystals. They are so high that they are often unaffected by the weather on the ground. They move with the jet stream, grand rivers of air that flow around the planet like a highway. These clouds catch the light of the sun long after it has set for us on the ground. When the sky turns pink and violet in the evening, it is because these ice crystals are reflecting the sun that has already gone. They are the last to say goodnight. They hold on to the light just a little bit longer, gently easing the world into the dark. And think of the seed. Buried in the soil during the winter, a seed is not dead. It is dormant. This is a biological state of suspended animation. The seed slows its life functions down to almost zero. It waits for the cold to pass. It does not fight the winter, it outwaits it. It knows, with a genetic certainty, that the warmth will return. It trusts the cycle of the earth. You, too, are allowed to be dormant. You are allowed to rest and wait for better conditions. You do not always have to be growing. Sometimes you just have to be. Consider the wind. We cannot see it, but it is the invisible hands of the planet, moving resources to where they are needed most. Right now, high in the atmosphere, trade winds are carrying millions of tons of dust from the Sahara Desert across the Atlantic Ocean. To us, it is just dust, but to the earth, it is food. This dust is rich in phosphorus. It travels thousands of miles to land in the Amazon rainforest. The dead sands of the desert are flying across the sea to fertilize the lungs of the world. The earth is taking care of itself. It is moving nutrients from a place of emptiness to a place of life. It is a system of balance that operates over the heads of everyone, silently ensuring that life continues. You are part of a system that knows exactly what it is doing. Think about the concept of the horizon. If you stand on the shore and look out, the world seems to end about 3 miles away. The ocean meets the sky in a perfect line. This is due to the curvature of the earth. The planet curves away from you, hiding the rest of the world. There is a comfort in this. You are not meant to see everything. You are not meant to perceive every problem, every city, every storm on the planet at once. The geometry of the Earth limits your view. It tells you that you are only responsible for the here and now. The rest of the world is hidden by the curve, taken care of by the laws of physics. You can let the horizon be your boundary. Inside this circle, you are safe. Let us return to the water, to the stones in a riverbed. Reach down in your mind and pick up a river rock. It is smooth. It is round. It feels good in the hand. But it was not always this way. Once, it was a jagged piece of debris broken off a mountain. It was sharp and rough, but the river took it. The water rushed over it for 1,000 years. It tumbled it against other stones. The friction, the conflict, the movement, it did not break the stone, it polished it. It took away the sharp edges. Time creates softness. The heavy flow of life tends to smooth us out if we let it. Just like the stone, you are being shaped by the flow, rounded into a form that is calm and unbreakable. Deep beneath the ocean, there are hydrothermal vents. These are cracks in the planet's crust where heat escapes. Around these vents, in the crushing dark, live giant tube worms. They have no eyes. They have no mouths. They do not eat like we do. They survive on the chemical energy of the earth itself. They live in a place where the sun has never shone, yet they thrive. They teach us that light is not the only way to survive. Even in the deepest dark, there is energy. There is warmth. There is life. You do not need to be on all the time. You do not need to be in the spotlight to be okay. Life persists comfortably in the quiet dark. Consider the speed of light versus the speed of sound. We see the lightning before we hear the thunder. The universe presents itself to us in layers. The visual comes first, the auditory comes later. The world does not hit us all at once. It arrives in waves. Even the heat of the day lags behind. The hottest part of the day is not noon, when the sun is highest, but around 3 or 4 p.m. The earth takes time to absorb the heat and radiate it back. It buffers the energy. It is a slow sponge. It prevents instant changes. This thermal lag is a cushion. The planet protects us from instant shock. It absorbs, it holds, and it releases slowly. And think about gravity as a blanket. We often think of gravity pulling us down, but think of it as holding the atmosphere in. Without gravity, our air would drift away into space. Gravity creates the pressure that keeps water liquid. Without this hug from the earth, the oceans would boil away into vapor. The weight you feel on your body is the force that keeps the water in your cells liquid, that keeps the air in your room breathable. It is the force that makes life possible. So when you feel heavy in your bed, do not fight it. That heaviness is the feeling of being held together. It is the feeling of belonging to this planet. Finally, consider the rotation of the seasons in the southern hemisphere. When it is winter in the north, it is summer in the south. When the leaves are falling in New York, the flowers are blooming in Sydney. The earth is never fully asleep. It creates a balance. Somewhere, right now, the sun is rising. Somewhere, a bird is waking up. Somewhere, a tide is coming in. You can sleep peacefully knowing that the watch is being kept. You can close your eyes because half the world has just opened theirs. The cycle is unbroken. The scholar can rest, for the earth never forgets its lines. Let us look inside the wood. If you were to cut across the trunk of an ancient oak tree, you would see the rings. These are the fingerprints of time. Every year, the tree grows a new layer of wood just under the bark. In wet years, the ring is wide. In dry years, it is thin. But consider the silence of this recording. The tree stands in one spot for 300 years. It does not move. It does not speak. It simply witnesses. It records the history of the sun and the rain, locking it away inside its own body. A tree is a library that writes itself. It teaches us that you do not need to go anywhere to experience a full life. You can stand your ground, weather the storms, and grow a little bit stronger, a little bit wider every single year. Now, think about the color of the deep ocean. Why is it blue? It is a matter of absorption. As sunlight hits the water, the ocean acts as a filter. It absorbs the red, the orange, and the yellow wavelengths of light almost immediately. They are caught in the top few feet of water, turned into warmth. But the blue light is different. It travels deeper. It has the energy to penetrate further down into the calm. The ocean holds onto the blue. It is the last color to fade before the total darkness of the deep. This is why looking at the sea feels so cooling to the mind. You are looking at a place where the hot colors of the spectrum have been quieted, leaving only the cool, slow vibration of indigo. It is a visual lullaby designed by physics. Let us trace the edge of the land. There is a concept in mathematics called the coastline paradox. It states that the closer you look at a coastline, the longer it becomes. If you measure a bay from a satellite, it looks smooth. But if you walk the beach, you see the curves of the rocks. If you look at the rocks, you see the tiny jagged edges of the sand. As you zoom in, the detail is infinite. Nature never runs out of complexity. But this is not a chaotic complexity. It is a repeating pattern. It is a fractal. The shape of the bay is repeated in the shape of the rock and the shape of the pebble. The world repeats itself in a comforting, predictable rhythm. Large or small, the rules are the same. You fit into this pattern just as perfectly as the grain of sand does. Consider the smell of rain. There is a word for it, petrichor. It is that fresh, earthy scent that rises from the pavement after a summer storm. But this is not just water. It is a message from the soil. When the earth is dry, plants release oils, and bacteria in the soil produce a chemical called geosmin. When the raindrops hit the ground, they trap tiny air bubbles containing these chemicals and release them into the air like champagne bubbles. You are smelling the chemistry of the ground waking up. It is the earth exhaling relief. It is a signal to every living thing that water has returned, that the dry season is over, and that it is safe to grow again. Think about the moss. Before there were trees, before there were flowers, there was moss. It is one of the oldest plants on earth. It has no deep roots. It does not drill into the earth, it rests upon it. Moss is the softness of the forest. It grows slowly over the hard rocks, covering the sharp edges with a velvet green layer. It creates a cushion for the forest floor. It absorbs water like a sponge and releases it slowly, keeping the air humid and easy to breathe. Moss teaches us gentleness. It does not fight the rock, it embraces it. It turns the hard, gray stone into a soft, living pillow. Now, imagine the atmosphere as a shield against silence. Sound needs a medium to travel. In space, there is no air, so there is no sound. Space is silent. But here, the air molecules are packed tight enough to carry vibrations. They carry the sound of the wind in the trees, the sound of the distant ocean, the sound of this voice. But the atmosphere also bends sound. At night, when the ground is cool, sound waves are refracted. They bend towards the earth. This is why you can hear a train whistle from miles away at night, clearer than during the day. The cool night air carries the sound further, keeping it close to the ground, wrapping the world in a blanket of acoustics. The night connects us. Finally, let us consider the concept of resting potential. This is a term from biology, but it applies to the planet too. In your cells, there is a state of rest where the cell is waiting, charging up, ready for the next signal. It is not inactive, it is preparing. The volcanoes that are sleeping are not dead, they are storing pressure. The seeds in the ground are storing starch. The water behind the dam is storing potential energy. Rest is not the end of work. Rest is the storage of energy. By sleeping, you are not wasting time. You are gathering the potential you need for tomorrow. You are acting exactly like a star, or a seed, or a tectonic plate. You are charging. Consider the mountains again. We see their peaks touching the sky, jagged and high. But as a scholar, we know that what is visible is only half the story. Just like an iceberg, a mountain has a root. The crust of the earth pushes down into the mantle under the weight of the mountain range. For every mile of mountain you see going up, there are often 5 or 6 miles of rock pushing down deep into the earth, anchoring it in place. The Himalayas are not just sitting on top of the ground. They are floating in the mantle, balanced perfectly by these massive roots. You are held by a world that is anchored deep, deep down. It is not easily moved. It is built to stay. Now, look up at a cumulus cloud. It looks like a tuft of cotton floating effortlessly in the blue. It looks weightless, but this is an illusion of scale. An average cumulus cloud weighs about 1.1 million pounds. That is the weight of 100 elephants or a heavy jetliner. Yet it floats. It hovers silently above your head. The physics of buoyancy and the gentle rising currents of warm air are strong enough to hold all that massive weight up effortlessly. It is a reminder that heavy things can be light. Heavy burdens can be carried with ease if the conditions are right. You do not need to carry the weight alone. The atmosphere is doing the heavy lifting for you. Let us travel to the very edge of the planet, to the ionosphere. This is a layer of the atmosphere where the air is electrified by the sun. It is a plasma. It is invisible, but it acts like a mirror. Before we had satellites, we used the ionosphere to send radio messages around the curve of the Earth. A radio wave would go up, hit this invisible ceiling, and bounce back down to the ground, skipping like a stone across a pond. The sky is a reflector. It keeps our signals, our voices, and our music from being lost into the infinite void of space. It keeps us contained. It keeps us connected. Think about the wobble of the Earth. We know the Earth spins, but it also wobbles like a slowing spinning top. This motion is called axial precession, but the time scale is comforting. It takes 26,000 years for the Earth to complete one single wobble. Right now, our North Pole points to the star Polaris, but in 12,000 years, it will point to the star Vega. The universe plays the long game. The night sky you see is a temporary arrangement, shifting so slowly that no human eye can see the change. We are living in a single, frozen frame of a very long movie. There is no need to fast forward. The plot will unfold when it is ready. Consider the stillness of a deep lake in winter. Water has a unique property. It is most dense at 39 degrees Fahrenheit. As the lake cools down, the cold water sinks. But when it gets close to freezing, it becomes lighter again and floats to the top to form ice. This creates a layer of ice that acts as a lid. It seals the lake off from the wind and the snow. Underneath that ice, the water remains liquid, dark, and perfectly still. The fish move slowly in the suspended animation of winter. The chaos of the storm above the ice does not reach them. They are in a sanctuary of cold, quiet water, waiting for the spring. You can build your own layer of ice, your own barrier against the noise, and rest quietly beneath it. Think about the salt in the ocean. The rivers of the world are constantly washing minerals from the rocks into the sea. Over billions of years, this has made the ocean salty. But the salt does more than taste distinct. It changes the physics of the water. Salt water is denser than fresh water. It creates buoyancy. If you lie in the ocean, it is easier to float than in a lake. The Dead Sea is so salty that you cannot sink even if you try. The water pushes you up. The chemistry of the ancient oceans is designed to support you. It wants you to stay on the surface. It wants you to rest. Finally, consider the concept of albedo. This is the measure of how much light a surface reflects. Fresh snow has a high albedo. It reflects almost all the sunlight back into space. The dark ocean has a low albedo. It absorbs the heat. The Earth is constantly balancing this reflection and absorption to maintain its temperature. It is a thermostat that has been working for eons. Clouds act as shutters, closing to reflect the sun, opening to let heat escape. The planet is self-regulating. It knows how to keep its balance. You do not need to control the temperature. You do not need to adjust the settings. The system is automatic. You can just sleep. Let us listen, really listen, to the forest. You might hear the wind in the branches or the rustle of a leaf, but you will never hear the most important work being done. Right now, in every green leaf on the planet, a chemical factory is running at full capacity. This is photosynthesis. The plants are drinking in sunlight and turning it into sugar, into fuel, into wood. It is a massive industrial process that powers the entire biosphere. Yet, it happens in absolute silence. There is no grinding of gears, no exhaust smoke, no hum of machinery. The trees are building themselves out of thin air and light without making a sound. It is a lesson in efficiency. You do not need to be loud to be productive. The most vital growth happens quietly. Think about the oil and coal deep beneath the ground. We call them fossil fuels, but the sleepy scholar calls them captured sunlight. Hundreds of millions of years ago, algae and plants absorbed the sun's energy. They died, sank, and were buried. The weight of the earth pressed down on them. Over eons, that pressure turned them into black liquid and stone. When we use energy today, we are releasing the sunlight that fell on the Earth during the Jurassic period. The energy was never lost. It was just waiting in the dark. The Earth is a battery that charges over millions of years. It holds on to potential until it is needed. Now, cast your mind to the surface of the moon. It is covered in a layer of fine, gray dust called regolith. Because there is no wind on the moon and no rain to wash it away, the dust never moves unless something touches it. The footprints left by the astronauts in 1969 are still there, perfectly preserved, crisp, and clear. They will likely remain there for millions of years. It is a place of perfect memory. If you were to leave a mark on the moon, the universe would keep it safe for you forever. It is a stillness so profound that even a footprint becomes a permanent monument. Consider the neutrinos. These are subatomic particles created by the sun. They are ghost particles. Right now, billions of them are passing through your body every second. They pass through your roof, through your bed, through you, and through the entire Earth, continuing out the other side into space. They do not touch you. They do not harm you. To a neutrino, the Earth is as transparent as glass. It is a reminder that even when you feel solid and heavy, on a quantum level, you are mostly empty space. You are open to the universe. You are letting the stars pass right through you. Let us think about the Goldilocks zone. This is the habitable zone around a star. If Earth were a little closer to the sun, our oceans would boil. If we were a little further away, they would freeze solid. We are in the narrow, perfect band where water can flow. We are just right. This is not an accident you need to maintain. It is a cosmic address. You are parked in the safest parking spot in the solar system. You do not need to move. You do not need to adjust your position. You are exactly where you are supposed to be to survive. Consider the morning dew. This is a quiet phenomenon of the dawn. During the night, the ground loses heat and gets cold. The air, which holds invisible water vapor, touches the cold grass. The water can no longer stay a gas, so it gently transforms into liquid drops. It does not rain. The water simply appears, condensing out of the air to bead on the spiderwebs and the leaves. It is a gentle way to water the world. It is the atmosphere kissing the ground. It happens in the transition between the dream and the waking world, a soft refreshment before the sun returns. Think about the sequoia trees in California. Some of them are over 3,000 years old. They were saplings when the pyramids of Egypt were being built. They have thick, spongy bark that is resistant to fire. When a forest fire comes, the sequoia does not run. It does not panic. It stands there. Its bark protects the living wood inside. The fire clears away the competition, burning the brush, leaving the sequoia with more room to grow. The tree knows that the disaster is temporary. It is built to outlast the trouble. It stands tall, patient, and practically immortal in the face of the heat. Finally, consider the rotation of the Milky Way galaxy again, but this time, think about the silence of the vacuum. Between the stars, there is a silence that is absolute. Sound is a vibration of air, but in the space between stars, there is only one atom per cubic centimeter. There is nothing to vibrate. The explosions of stars, the collision of galaxies, events of massive violence, happen in total silence. The universe keeps its secrets. It does not shout. It is a vast, quiet room. And in the corner of that quiet room, on a small blue pillow, you are resting. You are safe in the silence. Let us turn our gaze to the invisible bridges that connect the continents. We tend to think of the ocean as a barrier separating Africa from South America. But the atmosphere disagrees. High above the Atlantic, there is a river of wind. Every year, this wind lifts millions of tons of dust from the dried-out lake beds of the Sahara Desert. It carries this dust across the entire ocean while you sleep. To us, it is just dust. But to the Amazon rainforest, it is a gift. The dust is rich in phosphorus. It falls upon the canopy of the jungle, fertilizing the soil, feeding the trees. The dead sands of one continent are traveling thousands of miles to feed the living lungs of another. The world is a single, connected organism. It takes care of itself. It moves nutrients from where they are plentiful to where they are needed, without any effort from you. Consider the coral reefs. These are the cities of the sea, but they are built with a patience that rivals the mountains. A coral polyp is a tiny, soft creature. It extracts calcium carbonate from the water, the very salt of the ocean, and turns it into stone. It builds a tiny limestone cup to sit in. Layer by layer, generation by generation, these tiny cups stack up to form the Great Barrier Reef, a structure so massive it can be seen from space. It is a monument to the slow accumulation of effort. The coral does not rush to build a reef. It simply lives its life, day by day, and in doing so, it creates something permanent and beautiful. It reminds us that small, quiet actions, repeated over time, become the foundation of the world. Think about the concept of tidal locking. When you look up at the moon tonight, you are seeing the exact same face that your ancestors saw 10,000 years ago. You are seeing the same face that the dinosaurs saw. The moon spins at the exact same speed that it orbits the Earth. This means it always keeps one side turned towards us and one side turned away. It is locked in a permanent gravitational gaze with the Earth. It is a symbol of absolute loyalty. No matter where you go, no matter how much the world changes, the moon will never turn its back on you. It is a constant companion, holding its position with a steadiness that defies time. Now, imagine the underground rivers. We know about the rivers on the surface, loud and rushing. But deep beneath your feet, inside the rock itself, lies the groundwater. These are the aquifers. The water here moves so slowly that we measure its speed in centuries, not seconds. The water you drink from a deep well might have fallen as rain 5,000 years ago. It has been trickling down through the sand, through the cracks in the granite, filtered and purified by the earth itself. It has been waiting in the cool dark for millennia just to nourish you today. The earth is a hoarder of life. It saves the rain. It stores the water. It ensures that even in the driest times, there is a reserve deep within, waiting to be found. Consider the wood wide web. Beneath the floor of the forest, the roots of the trees are not alone. They are wrapped in microscopic fungal threads called mycelium. This fungus acts as a telegraph wire. It connects the trees to one another. If a tree is sick, its neighbors can send it sugar and nutrients through this fungal network. If a sapling is growing in the shade, the older trees pump food into its roots to help it survive. The forest is not a collection of individuals fighting for survival. It is a community that holds hands underground. Even when you feel alone, you are standing on a planet that is wired for connection, wired for support. Let us think about the northern lights, the aurora borealis. This is the visualization of the Earth's shield. The sun is constantly shooting streams of charged particles at us. If they hit the surface, they would be harmful. But the Earth has a magnetic field that catches them high in the sky. When it catches them, they glow. The green and purple lights you see are the physical evidence that you are being protected. The planet is wrestling the storm of the sun and turning it into art. It takes the danger and transforms it into a light show. You are sleeping inside a fortress that paints the sky with its strength. Think about the stillness of a seed bank. Deep in the permafrost of an Arctic island, there is a vault called the Doomsday Vault. Inside, there are millions of seeds from every crop on Earth, frozen and secure. They are sitting there in the absolute cold, waiting. They are a backup drive for the planet. No matter what happens, the potential for life is preserved. The Earth knows how to keep things safe. It uses the cold as a preservative. It uses the ice as a lock. You can rest easy knowing that the blueprint for the future is already written and stored away safely in the cold. Finally, consider the rotation of the Earth in terms of silence. We are moving at 1,000 miles per hour, but the atmosphere moves with us. If it didn't, we would be hit by a supersonic wind. But the air turns with the ground. This is why, on a calm day, the air can be perfectly still. The fluid dynamics of the planet are synchronized. The Earth and the sky are dancing together in perfect step, so that you, the passenger, feel nothing but peace. The system is calibrated for your comfort. It is designed to let you be still, even while the universe whirls around you. Let us descend into the deep ocean again to listen to the song of the whales. Water is much denser than air, and because of this, it carries sound much better. There is a layer of the ocean, about half a mile down, known as the SOFAR channel. In this layer, sound waves get trapped. They can travel for thousands of miles without losing their energy. A blue whale can sing a low note off the coast of Ireland, and another whale can hear it in the Caribbean. The ocean is a global telephone network. While you sleep, these gentle giants are singing to one another across entire hemispheres, their voices echoing in the deep, connecting the world in a slow, mournful, beautiful conversation. Consider the diamond. We value it for its sparkle, but the sleepy scholar values it for its history. A diamond is simply carbon, the same material as the graphite in your pencil, that was placed under immense pressure deep inside the earth. It was buried miles underground, crushed by the weight of the continents, and heated to thousands of degrees. But this pressure did not destroy it. It organized it. It forced the atoms to bond together in the strongest pattern possible. It turned the black dust into a clear, unbreakable stone. It teaches us that pressure is not always a bad thing. Sometimes, the weight of the world is simply trying to turn you into something that can never be broken. Now, think about the time of day known as the blue hour. This happens just before the sun rises and just after it sets. The sun is far enough below the horizon that there are no direct rays, but the sky is still lit. During this time, there are no shadows. The light is soft, diffused, and omnidirectional. The sharp edges of the world disappear. The contrast fades. Everything is bathed in a cool, calming indigo light. It is a moment of suspension between the activity of the day and the rest of the night. It is the earth pausing to take a breath. The planet softens the world for you twice a day, removing the harsh lines, leaving only a watercolor painting of the landscape. Consider the geode. From the outside, it looks like a rough, ordinary potato-shaped rock. It is dusty and gray. You could walk past it 1,000 times and never notice it. But inside, it is a hollow cave lined with sparkling purple amethyst or white quartz. It is a secret room. These crystals grew slowly, molecule by molecule, in the dark, protected by the hard outer shell. The earth keeps its beauty tucked away on the inside. It reminds us that you do not need to show everything to the surface world. You can keep your treasures inside, hidden and safe, growing quietly in your own private space. Think about the atmosphere's role as a meteor shield. Every day, the Earth is bombarded by tons of tiny space rocks and debris. We are flying through a dusty solar system. But we rarely see them. Why? Because the atmosphere stands guard. When a meteor hits the air at high speed, the friction burns it up. It turns the rock into a shooting star, a streak of light that vanishes in a second. The atmosphere takes the threats of the cosmos and turns them into wishes. It is a protective barrier that incinerates the danger before it can ever touch the ground where you rest. Let us consider the microscopic world of the diatom. These are tiny, single-celled algae that live in the ocean. They are too small to see with the naked eye, but they have hard shells made of silica, basically glass. Under a microscope, they look like intricate jewelry boxes, stars, and wheels. They are incredibly beautiful, but more importantly, they produce 20 to 30% of the oxygen you breathe. 1 out of every 4 breaths you take comes from these tiny glass creatures floating in the sea. They are working silently, drifting in the waves, crafting the air that fills your lungs right now. The smallest things are doing the biggest work. Think about the concept of thermal inertia. This is the resistance of a material to changing its temperature. The Earth is massive, so it has huge thermal inertia. If you turn off the heater in your house, the room gets cold quickly. But the Earth holds its heat. It takes months for the ocean to cool down after summer. This is why September is often warmer than June. The planet remembers the warmth of the sun long after the season has changed. It buffers us against the cold. It releases its stored heat slowly, gently, keeping the climate stable enough for life to thrive. It is a slow, warm embrace that lasts for months. Finally, consider the rotation of the constellations. If you were to watch the stars for an entire night, you would see them slowly rotating around the North Star. This is not a chaotic swarm of fireflies. It is a perfect clockwork wheel. The ancient Greeks, the Mayans, the Egyptians, they all looked up and saw this same reliable motion. The sky is a machine that never breaks down. It never needs repairs. It simply turns, night after night, century after century. You can close your eyes with the absolute certainty that when you open them, The stars will have moved exactly where they were supposed to go. The universe is disciplined. It is orderly. And you are a passenger on the smoothest ride in existence. Now, let us slowly return from the mountains, from the oceans, and from the stars. Let us come back to the quiet of your room. We have spoken of the Earth's movement, its history, and its power. But the most important fact of all is simply this. The Earth creates the perfect conditions for rest. It creates the gravity that holds you. It creates the night that covers you. It creates the silence that surrounds you. You have learned that the planet is taking care of the heavy lifting. The tectonic plates are moving without your help. The forests are breathing without your instruction. The tides are rising and falling without your effort. Everything is working exactly as it should. The machinery of the world is perfect. It does not need you to supervise it tonight. You are off duty. As you lie here, remember that you are made of the same materials as the world around you. The iron in your blood comes from the stars. The water in your cells comes from the ancient comets. The calcium in your bones comes from the stones. You are not separate from the earth. You are a piece of it. And just like the stone and the sea and the tree, you deserve to rest. The sun has traveled to the other side of the world to wake up the others, but here it has left you a gift of darkness. This darkness is a blanket. Pull it close. Trust in the rotation. Trust that while you drift away, the horizon will keep turning towards the dawn. You do not need to wait for it. It will come. Let your breathing match the rhythm of the slow, deep ocean. In, like the tide. Out, like the wind. The scholarship is done for tonight. The books are closed. The library is dark. The earth is holding you safe in the great, quiet void. Drift along with it. You are safe. You are home. Good night.